If you don't love numbers, you'll always be controlled by someone who does. Growing up in the professional beauty industry, I fell in love with numbers. Actually, I fell in love with numbers since I was a kid. I think it was now that I'm looking back on it, it's probably because they were unemotional. Like when I was reading, I didn't read that well. I didn't write that well. Sometimes the critical thinking part of it, those came into play. But math was my thing. Numbers was my thing. I absolutely loved it. I saw numbers like some kids saw words. I saw them in pictures. They came alive to me. And now that I look back on it, I think one of the biggest reasons why is because numbers don't lie. Now, sometimes we lie about the stories about the numbers and we manipulate them that way. That often happens. And that often happens in business and it often happens in deal making and things like that. But the actual numbers, they don't lie. They do not lie. And if you love numbers, you'll never be controlled by someone who does. And if you don't fall in love with numbers, you'll always be controlled by someone who does. I had a young lady when we were at the height of our company. We had salons all over the country. We had Vegas. We had the Hard Rock, Chicago, Carlsbad, San Diego, and we were managing one in Salt Lake City. We had about 75, 85 employees and messing with somebody's money, which numbers, right? Messing with somebody's money, you didn't do that. It was almost like, on Friday, messing with my money is like messing with my emotions. That's what Big Worm said, right? And I always took that to heart, not just from watching Friday, which I respect Friday, and I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time. But my pops was very big on this. You never mess with somebody's money. You correct that right away. If you did make a mistake, correct it as soon as humanly possible or even supernaturally possible. And this young lady calls me. I was just about to get on the plane. I was flying private, I believe, but it had some Southwest on the side of it. I got to choose my own seat. You know how I do it. I get on the plane about to choose my seat. And she says, hey, there's a problem with my paycheck. And I just stopped. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's call the accountant. Let's make sure that everything's cool. But before we do, tell me the challenge. She said, well, I get a certain amount of commission. You didn't pay me the commission. And, because the check is less than what that commission should be. And I said, oh, wow, we need to make sure that this is taken care of as soon as possible. We're going to make this happen. And I said, well, tell me the number. And she said, well, when I worked out the number, it was actually probably 10% less than what I was supposed to get paid. I said, oh, wow. And then I thought for a second, I said, are you looking at the top of your paycheck? You looking at the bottom of your paycheck? She paused for a second and then she answered. She's like, oh, I'm looking at the bottom of my paycheck. I said, well, that's a thing called taxes. She said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I can't control how much taxes come out of your paycheck. I said, tell me the number on the top line of your paycheck. She told me the number. I said, I want you to do the math on that. She did the math and it was exactly what we were supposed to pay her in commission. So she was honored in that way. And she said, but I was still confused. Why don't I get all my money? I said, because there's two things that your parents should have told you that you had to do was breathe and pay taxes. Now I can't change that. But here was a young lady that the numbers she thought lied because the story that she told to herself. But when we looked at the actual numbers, they didn't lie. They just told the story unemotional. Well, it brought to mind my wife because my wife is one of those people. And if you've ever met Brooklyn, if you want the real answer, you ask my wife the question. You don't want the real answer, you don't ask my wife the question because she's going to tell you the truth. She's going to come real. She's going to keep it gangster. And that's the reason why I love numbers so much. And when I sat down with Proverbs 1 today, it was as if God was talking numbers. He just laid it out. He laid out the features and benefits of seeking wisdom. He laid it out there and said, these are going to be the things that you get when you seek wisdom. He said, the reason why I'm going to tell you this is because there's things on the way that are going to be challenging, people that are going to come into play. There's going to be circumstances that come into play, and you're going to need wisdom. Well, then he said, this is how wisdom is going to call out to you. And then he let us know, if you don't choose wisdom, these are going to be the things that happen. And then he let us know that no matter where we've gone, no matter what we've done, no matter what circumstance you put yourself in, if you simply turn your eyes back, wisdom is available. I'm excited to dive into Proverbs 1. So why don't we get this party started?
Yeah, yeah. And this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. We begun surfing waves too low, made our own rules everywhere we go. Held tight to the truth that our parents declared. Anything is possible, the love stayed there. Now Rob's daughter ballin' on the end scene. Ole scene, Will's kids live dreams we never could have seen. This the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights.
If you don't love numbers, you'll always be controlled by someone who does. Even that switch right there, you saw the camera, the number, right? This is why I love numbers so much, because they do not lie. On my switcher, it was still on camera 3. That's the reason why you saw the other scene. And when I come back to this one, if you're listening, this doesn't make any sense to you. If you're watching on Spotify, thank you so much. If you're watching on, or you're listening on Apple, thank you so much. You're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you click the follow, and then also do the rating on it. It helps us out as we go. And then share it with a friend if you can, and share it with actually share it with 3 friends. That's a number for you, because numbers don't lie. Although we changed the story about the numbers themselves. I don't know if you could feel me when I was telling you about the young lady. She knows she laughed at it when we got done, with it. At first, she was mad at me when she was talking about her paycheck and the top of the paycheck and the bottom of the paycheck. But now we laugh about it. She's a very successful businesswoman now. But at the time, she was very young, and the story that she told herself about the numbers she was looking at told her, hey, I'm gonna get mad. Somebody's stealing from me. But the cool thing about numbers, what I love about them all the time, is that numbers are not something that have anything to do with emotion. They just have to do with results. That's it. Just the results. So that's what I love about it. And in Proverbs 1, it was as if God was saying, like, let's get unemotional here. Let's get unemotional. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you how to be able to navigate life. I'm going to tell you how to be able to build a foundation. And literally, he sums it up all in Proverbs 1. In Proverbs 1, he sets it up and he says, I'm going to go through 30 other times, because most likely as a human being, you're going to tell yourself stories that are going to manipulate the numbers that I'm going to give you right now. That's just the answer. And the cool thing is, for me, when I look at like a 2 + 2, it equals 4. No matter how you feel about it, no matter if your dad hugged you or not, if your uncle was mean to you or your mom was mean to you, or it's just not your day today, 2 + 2 is still 4. It's unemotional. And this is I've never read it this way, but as I sat down with my alone time today, Proverbs 1 was so unemotional. It was just like, here's the facts. Here it is. It's like my wife. I had a friend that was he was married. Now I'm not gonna say his name, but he was married, and then he started dating another girl. Like he was still technically married, but they were on the outs. And then he started dating a girl, and he brought that girl around us, and I was a little uncomfortable with it, whatever it was, especially because he was around my wife and he's around a new girl. And he rolls up and he's with the new girl, and he goes to justify the fact that he's with the new girl, even though like he's married, but he's like, it's almost done. And he says to Brooke, hey, you know what I'm talking about, right? And Brooke is standing right next to me, and he says it, and I'm thinking, bro, you just asked the wrong person. He just tried to ask my wife to justify the thing that he was going through. And my wife was like, just about, like the words were just about to come out her mouth. And I just grabbed her, I hugged her, and I took her away from the situation, because that guy didn't want to know the truth. He didn't want to know the real answer, so he shouldn't have asked my wife. And so, as I sat down in Proverbs 1 today, it was very simple. It was the wisdom sandwich. as I've studied this over the last 30 years, we've got the wisdom cycle. And, if you don't know the wisdom cycle, it's fear or respect of God. That's just spending time with him, seeing his words, his actions there in line. That is the beginning of all wisdom, right? So you spend time with God, you're going to get wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge. Now you could bring knowledge in, and then that knowledge applied, which will mean that you have wisdom, the right use of knowledge, and then you bring knowledge in, and you'll be able to use that knowledge in the right way, and that'll gain understanding. The understanding will give way to insight, and insight will give you discretion. It'll build the muscle of discernment. That'll build discipline, strength, and lead you right back to the fear of God and keep you in the wisdom cycle. Now, watch this wisdom sandwich, though, that God gives us. And I love the wordplay that he has, because he just starts it off. And literally, is almost in any deal, in any business, anything like that, the greatest thing you could do is just be clear. Here, I'm clear. I'm setting the parameters. I'm setting in today's society, people like to call them boundaries. I'm setting the boundaries. I'm setting it up. And that way it's not emotional as we get to circumstances. And here it goes, the wisdom sandwich. Wisdom will bring instruction. It'll give you instruction. It'll give you understanding, prudence, what is right and what is fair. It'll give you knowledge. It'll give you discretion. It'll give you discernment. It'll give you guidance. And then you'll have wisdom. So it's a wisdom sandwich. It starts with wisdom. It gives you instruction, understanding, prudence, what is right, what is fair, knowledge, discretion, discernment, guidance, and then it'll bring in more wisdom. And when it sandwiches it together, it's an equation that's not emotional. It just means that if you seek out wisdom, you'll end up getting all those things. And guess what? You'll end up getting more wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge. And in that way, you can add knowledge in any aspect of your life, and it will grow, and it'll go into action. Because so many times we get knowledge, but we don't put it into action. We all have friends like this, or you could be that friend like this. Here's the reasons why we need it, right? People are coming for you that are not ethical, but promise shiny rewards. God already knows what's coming. He already knows what's on the horizon. He knows that people are coming, and they're going to promise you certain things, and they're going to want to get you off track and all those things. I was just talking with my mother-in-law. We were walking on a treadmill today, and she was walking a lot longer than me and probably faster than me too. But we were talking, and she told me, she's like, I'm never going to retire, like actually retire. Not to say that she's not going to do what she wants, but she said, I see so many people that when they retire and they stop doing something, they don't have a purpose every day to be able to go, then they just die. And I said, well, that's not you. I see you. You have a purpose. You focus in on those things. And as we were talking through the fact that there are going to be a lot of things that come in that try and say, hey, nanny, that's what we call her. Hey, nanny, come over here. You could get this reward. And if we listen to those things, we're not rooted and grounded in wisdom, and we're just constantly bouncing around for all the shiny things and all the unethical people that will come in, we're going to waste a lot of our energy. I tell you, one of the biggest inspirations to me is a woman who taught me about the difference between motion and action. Are you in motion? You in action? Motion means you're just busy. Action means you're moving towards your desired result. And that's a woman named Jen Moses. Jen Moses, I mean, I tell you, I've never seen a woman schedule out her day because she loves numbers so much. She would just, and not because she wanted to it wasn't just about the money for her, it was about the score. But I tell you, she would focus in on something. She would get regimented. Now, her and Shauna Martin, they bought our company, and they have it there in Las Vegas. And if you're in Las Vegas and you're not going to Style and Grace Hair Gallery, you're not getting the service that you deserve. It's the best, the absolute best, the best people. They're incredible. You'll love them. And Jen was a real inspiration for me with this motion and action thing. And it's the difference between shooting a buckshot and shooting a sniper rifle. Like one shot sniper rifle, it's hitting exactly where it needs to go. And literally one shot, you're done. People are coming. They're going to try and get you off track, and they're going to promise you shiny things. The second one is that you're going to be challenged by circumstances. You're going to be challenged by circumstances, but if you're rooted and grounded in wisdom, then you're going to be able to endure those circumstances. You're going to be able to persevere, and you're going to be able to move through those things. And not to say you'll come out unscathed, but you'll learn the lesson, and you'll grow, and you'll become better for it. But otherwise, you'll think that the world conspired against you. A lot of times I've been around people that feel that way. So Second question is that, or I think it's the third question, is how does wisdom call out? Well, I want you to understand that God is always obvious, and He speaks in your language. He's very obvious, and this was the thing with my mom. My mom wasn't in church all the time. I think I told you guys this before. She wasn't in church all the time, but she lived it out. And I asked a woman the other day. I said, if God told you that you had to give up the thing that you love the most, how would you talk to him? And she was like, "Oh, thou Father, thou art." And I said, "You wouldn't talk like that." And she's like, "Yes, that's the way I reverence God, and that's the way." And I was like, I mean, is that the way you talk? And she wasn't talking that way the whole day, but she only talked that way at that particular time. And I was like, God talks to you in your language, right? And, I loved her. I love her. But as I talked and I switched it out, I said, okay, so that exact same conversation, your husband says it. And she was like, "Oh, I'll tell him, and I'll tell him that he ain't telling me what to do." And I was like, okay, that's real. God is going to talk to you very obviously, but He's going to talk to you in your language because He built you perfect exactly the way that you are. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You're exactly where you need to be at the exact right time. Now, it doesn't mean that, your circumstances are perfect. It doesn't mean that you didn't make boneheaded decisions that sometimes you have to deal with the repercussions of them. We've all done those things. But a lot of times we make a bonehead decision and then we blame our inconsistencies on God. That's not His challenge. He's not responsible for our silly decisions, although He did build us perfect. That's why we need to spend time with Him. And then the next thing, how does wisdom call out? It's always going to be simple. It's going to be direct, and it's going to be unemotional. And this is how it is in Proverbs 1. And I just want you to read Proverbs 1 because it's super unemotional. It's super unemotional. It's simple. It's direct. It's these things. This is the benefits and the features and benefits of wisdom. This is what you're going to get when you get wisdom. It's going to be a bunch of people that come around and a bunch of circumstances that are silly, and you shouldn't, fall victim to them, but you won't if you're steeped in wisdom. How's it going to call out? It's going to call out in your language. It's going to be very obvious. It's going to be simple, direct, and unemotional. The next question is what happens if you don't listen and apply it? This is very simple. And again, it was very direct. Things won't go well. Things won't go well if you don't listen and apply the wisdom that he talked about from the very beginning. And finally, the last one is, how do you get back on track? Well, the cool thing is just go back and listen to the beginning. Listen, pay attention, and apply it, what you were told. Because he told you in the beginning. Have you guys ever told someone something? You tell your kid something, and then they go out and do it, and they come back crying, and you're like, I want to tell you that if you just would have listened to me, but that's not the thing that works in that relationship. Well, it doesn't work with your kids, and that's not what God is saying to us. He's not mad at us. He's not frustrated with us. He's just saying, like, when we come back with poop on our face, broken bone, whatever it is, because of the decisions that we made. He's just saying, go back to the beginning really quick. Go back to the beginning, listen to it again, and I'm going to speak to you in your language. I'm going to speak to you very direct. I'm going to speak to you very simple, and I'm going to speak to you unemotional. And if you choose to go a different way, you choose to tell yourself a different story, but I can tell you that this is unemotional, just like the numbers of what we were talking about earlier. But the numbers can read different if we tell ourselves a different story about it. And that's what the little young lady did with her paycheck from the top to the bottom. See, Proverbs 1 is a math equation as simple as 2 plus 2. The numbers are unemotional, although sometimes the story we tell ourselves alters our perspective, therefore shifting our perception. Your perspective is the vantage point from which you see it. Your perception is the way you receive it. If you shift the way you look at something, you'll receive it different. The young lady, early on with her paycheck, she was looking at her paycheck from a perspective of, let me look at the bottom line. He's taking advantage of me. It affected and shifted her perception of the way in which I was dealing with her. She thought I was stealing her money. We shifted her perspective, not the numbers. We shifted her perspective, and her perception shifted. When this happens, stop and take a breath. And almost like an etch-a-sketch, like when you tell yourself a story that alters your perception of the story, just stop. This is what God was saying, is just stop, like an Etch-a-Sketch. Just take it and shake it and just reset it. Just reset it and go back to the simple answer. And the simple answer was the features and benefits of wisdom, which God gave us in Proverbs 1 at the very beginning. Proverbs 1 is a number that once we fall in love with, it will bring endless blessings. You see, if you don't fall in love with numbers, you'll always be controlled by someone who does. And I'm not saying to you to be unemotional, but I am saying that the truth will set you free, and the truth is unemotional. The truth is like a math equation, and those numbers are unemotional. Although you can tell yourself whatever story you want about those numbers and have any type of feeling that you want, but I can tell you it'll lead you down a road that I don't think that you want to be on. So, big shout out to the young lady with the taxes, with the paycheck. Huge shout out there, and I want to tell you guys, numbers for me, I've absolutely fallen in love with them, and I tell you, this in Proverbs 1, it hit me so strong today. And when I look at that number, Proverbs 1, it's the beginning, it's the first. And then I look at like one person can change everything. They can shift things for you in your life. I've had so many one people in my life. I've had the Julie Vargases of the world. I've had the David Hamilton and Julia Hamilton. I've had Brooklyn Cardenas, Rob Cardenas. I've had Will Simmons. I've had Dave Jansen. And all of these people, there were one person that was right next to me at a particular time, and it shifted the way that I saw or the way that I received those things. Person next to you today. Maybe it's the person on the phone, the person that you need to call. Call one person. Call one person today. Text them. Email them. Send them a video. Whatever it is, that one person. They can help to be able to shift your life, or maybe it's your job to help them shift theirs. I hope you have a phenomenal day. It's been another episode of the podcast, which has been incredible. Check out the Vibe Room, which is March 11th, and it is here in Carlsbad, and it's going to be unbelievable. It's got live music, stand-up comedy, some phenomenal interviews, and I tell you, you'll be sitting next to that one person that could possibly shift your life if you apply it. Have a wonderful day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Yeah. And this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. We begun surfing waves too low, made our own rules everywhere we go. Held tight to the truth that our parents declared. Anything is possible, the love stayed there. Now Rob's daughter ballin' on the end scene. Olay scene, Will's kids live dreams we never could have seen. This the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights.